Ene ni ehwenim se parliament ebekwa asetena kobobu nsema efa oman Ghana ho na eno no mmara hwebe de fie efre ne se parliament business nhyiamu yi ankoyi ekoye na anu die bi na NDC amanyoko ekotena majority seat eso ema speaker of parliament etu wo mo nhyiamu no ehede sana enei asanso esia enamso ema parliament business nkomodidi enya ambaso NDC amanyoko no edi kan ewo mmara de fie wo mo koya eye majority seat ho eho ena wo mo ekotena ye intidemu ekire se NPP amanyoko no de obia entu ne nan NC imrasha bidifi esan se womo egi womo tum se womo ene majority na emom womo enye minority na senti ena NPP amanyoko no womo ebeko akotena minority no de enya de a womo ebepene so enam so ema speaker of parliament Alban Sumana Bagbin ejina nsem so ene ne ohunu so ekire se
unfortunately the signatories who made the request have not shown up, and therefore, unfortunately, the signatories who made the request have not shown up, and therefore, matters that they wanted us to handle, which are admitted for the consideration of the business committee, are not on the order paper, and in fact there's no order paper for today because the business committee could not meet due to the absence of the people who requested for the recall. And as you can see, one side of the house is completely empty. In view of this, we have, as usual, got a quorum to sit, but we have no business before us to transact.
Nesi ye echinentu ni speaker of parliament eba bonten ebe chirichiri ni nsem kakra ochire se ni dibre no emma kwan emma na nchire obi bebia wo so otena ebo mmrahye bidefie eno ntini se NDC amanyoko no edikan ewo parliament na wo mo afa majority dibre na onu ho hweka ontumi empamo wo mo anase ontumi enka nchire wo mo se wo mo ensori enkotena bia foforo enti eno ne de enye nase.
Please, it's not part of the duties of a speaker to decide where an MP should sit in parliament. It's not my duty. That determination in Ghana's situation, in various parliaments, these things we are talking about, majority side, minority side, don't exist any longer. That's why in my ruling I use the term old school. The British model, government, opposition, benches, and a carpet in between them. And so when you are shifting your political lineage, you have to cross that carpet to the other side. And that is why you have the term carpet crossing. Our parliament is not arranged in the form of government and opposition. And Ghana don't like the term opposition. So we decided to adopt the terms from the United States of America, majority and minority. So you can even sit anywhere. But the numbers determine who is majority and who is minority. But in our parliament, the practice is for those who constitute majority to sit at the right side of the speaker, and those who constitute minority to sit at the left side of the speaker. That is because after independence in 1957, we adopted the Westminster system, which is practiced in the United Kingdom. But we changed that, even to the extent that the arrangement of the floor of the House is in a horseshoe. So it's not always the case that the people to the left side are all members of minority. That's not the case now. And there's good reason behind this. As in the textbooks. The determination, therefore, in our situation, as to who constitute majority or minority, is a question of numbers.
Keso ato force na say wagye ne ho atum se ono e na oye minority leader no one insentrefo atwetwe nkomo kakra o kire se NPP amanyoko no de say wo eye ama wo ani atra wo ani nto isan se ya frɛ parliament se mo embra embetena se mumbobo insem kakra emfa oman Ghana ho oman no ho enehia emom NPP amanyoko no enam campaign ahodo ase a womu etwa womu na ase a womu mfa Ghana man eho.
We noticed that they failed to show up. This morning at about 7 o'clock, we showed up at the business committee meeting on the 6th floor only to notice that the MPP members of the committee once again failed to show up at the business committee. I personally called the committee clerk and I was informed that she is out of the jurisdiction and no one has reached out to him to her to program the business of the day. I was worried and reached out also to the MPP side and to have an indication as to what their plan is. No one responded. I am deeply worried and deeply concerned that the very people that requested for Parliament to be recalled failed to show up. Clearly, what we are seeing here is an abuse of the Constitution and the standing orders of Ghana's Parliament. The NPP Minority Caucus have indeed caused financial loss to the state and to us, the NDC members of Parliament, and to the people of Ghana. We say this because these recalls cost Ghana money. This is not the first time that they have done this. They've done this a couple of times, but we see nothing than disrespect.
Honorable K.T Hammond and Central for Education Commono or the Tuomo enim says Speaker of Parliament say the or ye aye aswording. It sounds a minority and majority whom semi a PM L Supreme Court. Ama Supreme Court say Jina so a one sema or day at Speaker of Parliament enim say on 5 year and 2 year efa minority and majority whom sem na so a quite a speaker day on first Supreme Court in sem no English.
It can't be right.
Honorable, he said you did not.
What is it? The Parliament is a master of its own regulations and its own. It's nonsense. That's not the case. The Supreme Court is spoken. The Speaker is supposed to get the House in order to let us do what we are supposed to be doing. Why we are here? Why does he consistently keep again?
He's not based on the Constitution, but understanding order.
What does he? You see, listen. Be careful. Listen to what you are saying. If I don't expect the Speaker to be saying things like that. He's a seasoned lawyer. He can't be saying that. He doesn't act on the basis of the Constitution, but on the basis of the standing orders. What are the standing orders? The master of the. But that's an entirely different matter. What's an entirely different matter? Supreme Court is simply asked that he should give an order to restore what the situation was. You are not listening. We recall Parliament. The Speaker, when he sat, was supposed to do a first thing, and the first thing was supposed to be this: the decision, the ruling that I made on the particular day has been overset, has been stayed by the Supreme Court, which interprets the Constitution, interprets what we do over here. Accordingly, the status quo ante should be reverted to. So we will know that we are going back to this. Why should the NDC guys rush to go and sit on the side of the NDC bank? What is that? No, but that is not the point. But where were they sitting? Where were the NDC people sitting? No, you are not listening to me. You are not listening to me. Let's get the facts right. Where were the NDC guys sitting? Is that where they're supposed to be sitting? But you see, we have a convention. We have a convention. It's not argument, nonsense. You guys are not listening. Supreme Court is speaking. It is all for us members of Parliament on the majority side to be arguing at any point. This is a matter. This is foreclosed. It is completely foreclosed. Supreme Court is speaking. That is the end of the matter.
Afenyo mark na watie ginem se onji ne huntum se obeye minority leader e wo mrahye fie no ono nso so akasa wo kire se Speaker of Parliament enkai se NPP amanyoko no enadi ne dibre no ehye ne nsa na emom enye NDC amanyoko nti onhwe no fe yie entuye na basabasa ya ekoba edefa minority ne majority wo mrahye fie nyina etoncha.
At the said pre-sitting meeting, I, on behalf of my colleagues, the majority, inquired from Mr. Speaker whether our friends who were seated to his right would be allowed by him to sit there, because that was not their rightful place in view of his own admission that he had not proclaimed them as such nor declared them as such. Speaker responded that indeed sitting arrangement of Parliament was a responsibility of the clerk to Parliament. This took me to the next step of inquiring from the clerk whether he allowed the NDC minority to sit on our seats. He said, indeed, we had our name tags, that is the MPP majority had their name tags at those seats that we already occupied, and that it was not he who did that. So obviously, one was expecting Mr. Speaker to direct the NDC to do the right thing. He refused. Subsequently, Mr. Speaker engaged the Council of State, or perhaps let me say the Council of State held meetings with Mr. Speaker as a majority leader and leader of government business and leader of the House. I had the opportunity to also meet with them. The understanding I had from the meeting as a sequel to the meeting they had already held with Mr. Speaker was to the effect that Mr. Speaker will direct the NDC minority to sit at their right place, which is the left of Mr. Speaker. That was the understanding I had. I subsequently had a call from the Peace Council. The Peace Council informed me that they had engaged Mr. Speaker on the issue before Parliament, and Mr. Speaker had indeed indicated to the Peace Council that he had not ruled, neither has he proclaimed the NDC minority, and that should we resume or should Parliament reconvene, the NDC minority will go back to their seats. Several other prominent Ghanaians, who for some good reasons I would not want to mention their names, who had engaged Speaker on this matter, had also reached out to us, the majority caucus, and assured us that Mr. Speaker's engagement with them resulted in he admitting that indeed there was no such ruling, which ruling would now proclaim the NDC as a so-called new majority. Now, from the horse's own mouth, granted that all these prominent people misrepresented to us, the majority, yesterday, Mr. Speaker himself, in his press conference in the afternoon, enumerated a number of things. Among them, he said he had not made a ruling. He told the whole of the country that he had not made a ruling. So, if he claims that what he did was a formal communication in response to a statement from the minority leader, then why is he supervising chaos in the House? What Mr. Speaker did today amount to supervising chaos and bringing the image of democracy to disrepute. The NDC minority members were all over claiming that we, the majority, did not attend a so-called business committee meeting that they called. Who are they? When did we When did we constitute a new committee in Parliament?
Ebusia 7M TV network esu eni tie bi medi na me na ya nyame chemede ebesum na brinyi na de amanyosem no meboaboa no e de aba abesum ewadwumedi eso enti no koso follow page no e Facebook, subscribe e YouTube, share ma afoforo na wom soso enye bi enhwe na afi fa wadwen chere nia eto comment section ni afoforo enche.
7M TV, new vision.